Many of us are concerned about how to care well for aging parents, not only because of what it says in the quoted portion of today's text, but also because of the phrase at the end of 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 4. If you tap the citation at the end of today's text, you get the rest of the verse, namely, "For this is acceptable in God's sight." And that tells us just how important a matter this is. Notice the interlinear rendering. The term translated godly devotion is literally to be revering well, which could denote being generally virtuous toward anyone, and perhaps that's why a number of translations in our list here in JW Library simply say to show piety. Still others, such as the Jerusalem Bible, render the term to do their duty. But honoring our parents is more than just our duty toward humans. It's more than just virtue for its own sake. The verse itself says this is acceptable in God's sight. So we love our parents, yes, but they deserve our care, yes. That's virtuous, of course. But principally, we care for our aging parents because we revere Jehovah. We care about what Jehovah says is right conduct toward family members. It's a matter of godly devotion. So what are some of the factors to keep in mind? Our commenters have helped us so much. The comments point out that exactly how children provide care varies because situations vary. But here's 4 practical things we can do. First, communicate. Second, determine the real needs. Third, have reasonable expectations. And fourth, always remember to throw your burden on Jehovah. First, turn please to Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 22. Communicate, communicate, communicate. And what does this result in? It says, plans fail when there is no consultation, but there is accomplishment through many advisors. So keep in touch, call, write, email, text, Skype, once a week, more often, especially as they age. Satisfy their spiritual needs. Keep them apprised of what's going on at Bethel and the rich treasures you enjoy here in your service. Care for their emotional needs by reminding them just how valuable they are. But regarding their material needs, it's important to ask the right questions. It's easy to conclude they're doing okay. But this is where the many advisors come in. Keep in touch with other family members, the local congregation, get the whole story. True, the sheer multiplicity of counselors doesn't in itself guarantee accurate data. A majority can be wrong. That's why Exodus 23:2 cautions us against just going along with the crowd. However, when we're trying to make important decisions, we need to get a clear picture of what's actually going on in their lives. And that leads to our second point, determine the real needs. Notice what it says here in Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 15. Some parents have made wise provision for their old age, pensions, insurance, retirement funds. But what if these run out? Then what? Time to quit? Get a house? It's good that we honor our parents, and never would we want to treat them with contempt. That's exactly what Jesus condemned. And yet, in some cases, we have to think about what it says in Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 15. Notice what it says. The end. The shrewd one ponders each step. Family happiness, page 176, raises 11 pertinent questions. It says, suppose your elderly mother is having difficulty living alone and you think she might benefit from moving in with you. You might consider, what are her actual needs? Are there private or state-sponsored support services that offer an acceptable alternative solution? Does she want to move? If she does, in what ways will her life be affected? Will she have to leave friends behind? How might this affect her emotionally? Have you talked these things over with her? How might such a move affect you, your mate? If your mother needs care, who will provide it? Can the responsibility be shared? Have you discussed the matter with all those directly involved? In one of the most touching accounts on this subject, John chapter 19, verses 26 and 27, we read that Jesus, when he saw his mother And the disciple whom he loved, standing nearby, he said to his mother, "Woman, see your son." Next, he said to the disciple, "See your mother." And from that hour on, the disciple took her into his own home. Yes, despite all that was weighing on Jesus' shoulders at that precise moment, not to mention the incredible pain he was enduring, he took the time to take care of his mother. But what did he do? Did he summon 12 legions of angels and postpone his execution? No, he delegated responsibility to a relative and not his brothers, because they apparently were not yet believers. What an amazing example of balancing the real needs of all concerned. Well, that brings us to our third point. Have reasonable expectations of our parents, of our relatives, of the congregation. 1 Corinthians 16:14 says, "Let everything you do be done with love." Beautiful text. Now, the responsibility rests primarily upon each Christian to care for his own household. Children, grandchildren, other close relatives display Christian love by providing assistance to the elderly and infirm ones according to their needs. But congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses do not weaken this personal responsibility by taking over. The Bethel family is really to be commended for the variety of ways in which you're shouldering this very heavy responsibility, how this must please Jehovah. And that leads to our final point. Remember to throw your burdens on Jehovah. As pointed out in our comments, Jehovah can bless any scriptural decision and make it work. How encouraging those words are. And then it cites Numbers 11:23. The hand of Jehovah is not short. Only our lack of trust in Jehovah would limit what he will do for us. And although Jehovah can work miracles, we don't expect that we will never have to participate in the solution of giving care to our aging parents. Why not? Because by learning to practice godly devotion in our own households, we have the opportunity to show the depth of our unselfish motives in serving Jehovah, and that proves the devil a liar. Nevertheless, notice this encouraging promise at Psalm 145, verse 18. Jehovah is near to all those calling on him, to all who call on him in truth. He satisfies the desire of those who fear him. He hears their cry for help, and he rescues them. Jehovah helps. Now, maybe you yourself are the instrument in Jehovah's hands to make sure that your parents are well cared for. Your work may actually be the expression of Jehovah's love in answer to your parents' prayers.